And we're back. What is web development? Welcome to the world of web development. Millions of users have learned to make websites and web applications on Codecademy, and you could be next. All right, I am next. Hell yeah. Having web development skills allows you to take your big ideas, whether it's a simple website, a complex web application, or even a browser game, and build them on the web. Meet Alejandra. She's a budding web developer. She runs a small travel agency. Alejandra finds her customers mostly through word of mouth, but now she's ready to expand her business by building a website. In this lesson, we will follow Alejandra along her journey to learn new languages for web development, and we will see what kinds of features each new skill allows Alejandra to build for her site. The four main languages that Alejandra needs to learn includes HTML, structures website content; CSS, applies styling to websites; JavaScript, adds interactivity to websites; and SQL allows your web application to store and retrieve data. We'll follow along with Alejandra as she picks up each of these languages, starting with HTML. Continue the next exercise when you are ready to dive into HTML. Hell yeah, let's go. What is HTML? Alejandra knows that the first step to building a website is learning HTML. Why? HTML is the skeleton of all web pages. It provides structure to the content on a website, including text, images, buttons, videos, and more. HTML is a practical place to start learning to code. You can build basic websites after learning just a little HTML with text, images, and videos. You can always open up your work in progress website with your browser and see what you're building. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. In the next few exercises, we will look at the HTML acronym word by word to unpack what HTML really means. Take a peek at the HTML code to the right. Some parts of the language are pretty intuitive. See if you can figure out how anything works. If not, don't worry, we'll explain soon. Right, H1 tag, paragraph, HTML provides a skeleton. Easy peasy, let's go. All right, HTML markup. The ML in HTML stands for markup language. Markup refers to a way of annotating text that is distinguishable from the text itself, the same way that a teacher might mark up a student essay by underlining topic sentences and circling spelling errors. HTML annotates the content within a web page. A teacher might use a red pen to make sure that their comments are easy to distinguish from the student's own work. HTML separates content and annotation by using HTML tags, which are denoted by angle brackets, also known as less than and greater than signs. Compare the markup for the essay to the markup in the HTML diagram. How do they compare? Open the following dropdowns to see some sample comparisons. Both the HTML markup and the essay have sections of text. The HTML markup is separated by new lines and tags. With open and close, the essay has the text separated by new lines. Okay. Both documents include a title near the top. The HTML markup is titled HTML tutorial, marked with title tags. The essay has my autobiography as the title, which is annotated as title with an arrow. Similar to the essay's body text, the HTML tag has the tag body for the body text. In the essay, portions of the body text are annotated to indicate what purpose they serve in the text, such as hook, thesis statement, and conclusion. In the body of the HTML, individual portions are annotated with HTML tags like P and H1 to indicate the function that the text will serve on the web page. We'll learn more about these tags in subsequent exercises. Right. HTML elements. HTML tags are the markup for HTML. They are annotations that provide information about the type of content they contain. Let's take a close look at the syntax for how HTML tags surround content to create an HTML element. The diagram displays an HTML paragraph element. As we can see, the paragraph element is made up of an opening tag P, the content hello world text, and a closing tag P. Let's quickly review each part of the element pictured. HTML element, a unit of content in an HTML document formed by HTML tags in the text or media it contains. Opening tag, the element name used to start an HTML element. The tag type is surrounded by opening and closing angle brackets. Content, the information, text, or other elements contained between the opening and closing tags in an HTML element. Okay. Closing tag, the second HTML tag used to end an HTML element. Closing tags have a / inside of them directly after the left angle bracket. Study the diagram to the right to learn about the anatomy of HTML syntax. When you're done, continue to the next exercise. Okay, cool. Opening, the content, closing tag, element. Easy peasy. Let's go. Common tags. Okay, let's practice using HTML elements by writing a few different tags. Here are a few common tags that you can start getting familiar with. Each one. This is heading, emphasize as text. This is a paragraph. It is the most common tag for larger chunks of text. This is another, or this is an anchor tag. You specify the text that is the anchor for a link. Okay. Click here. Okay. This is a button. Okay. Let's make the heading stand out. Put an opening, closing H1 tag around the text that says travel. Okay. So H1. Opening, closing tag. Okay. Let's make this thing a button. Cool. Doesn't do anything yet. Wonder if we're gonna have that functionality next. Hypertext in the World Wide Web. The H and T in HTML stands for hypertext. Hypertext is text that is linked to other text. This diagram shows different websites that are connected to each other through links, which are represented by arrows. What's so hyper about hypertext? The prefix hyper indicates that the text expands beyond the traditional constraints of the written word. Instead of reading documents from beginning to end like you would read a book, someone going through hypertext can browse by clicking on links from one document to another. The user can navigate to whatever page they find most interesting and carve their own unique path through the web. Many modern websites provide rich user experiences, which features like embedded videos, animations, and interactivity. So it doesn't necessarily feel like you are just navigating from one HTML page to the next. But despite all of the advances that have taken place with the growth of the web, at its core, the web is still just a collection of hyperlinked documents. Review the structure of links shown in the diagram, then continue to the next exercise when you're ready. I feel like we already saw this all previously. Okay, here we go. This is looking good. Adding hyperlinks. Let's explore how hypertext works by adding a link to a basic website. Reading the modifying code is an essential first step in learning to build things for the web. This practice can take you a long way while you're learning to build websites from scratch. An attribute in HTML, or an attribute, I guess, provides additional information about HTML element. It comes in a name and value pair with a structure name equals value. For example, you can specify the width of an HTML element with the attribute width equals 500. Okay. The links are created in HTML with something called the href attribute, which stands for hyperlink reference. The href attribute allows us to specify the URL or address on the web that a link should take users to. See below for an example of the href attribute in action. When we see the href attribute on an anchor tag abbreviated to A, we can specify both the text that should be rendered for the user, the text within the anchor tag, and the URL that the browser should navigate to. Okay, ahref. Where to go? Okay. With this code, we're assigning the value Codecademy to the href attribute. When user clicks on the text of this link, learn to code, they will be redirected to Codecademy. Okay. So Alejandra has begun to build her own business website. She wants to link from her homepage to a different page that contains her resume. To start, in the index HTML for the top, or for the text that says 25 years of experience. Okay, the X for that, it should be near line 20. Okay, this is it right here then. Anchor tag around this text. So we're gonna that, okay. So add an href. So href equals that. Okay, it does. Okay. It's called relative path. It looks a little different from the full URL you're used to seeing. That's because it's actually a link to another page on the same website. So we can omit the first part instead of jetsetter.com. We can abbreviate the link to just resume. Open the hint if you need a reminder of how to set the attribute tags to HTML tags. Okay. Click on the link that you just made to navigate to see Alejandra's resume. Boom. Click run. Once more, we're ready to move on to the next lesson. All right. What is CSS? Using just HTML, Alejandra was able to build a website that contains all of the content that she wants, but it doesn't look very impressive. Alejandra knows that the basic black and white websites won't give her business the credibility she needs to find new customers. That's where CSS comes in. CSS is the language that provides style to the content of an HTML page. This includes colors, fonts, positioning, layout, and more. Why do we need a separate language for content and presentation? This is an example of the computer science principle, separation of concerns. Large code bases are kept maintainable when each section has clearly differentiated problems that it is trying to solve. Since the styling rules are described separately from the content itself, if Alejandra adds more paragraphs, images, or other forms of content, she can expect them to be styled the same way as her existing content. This will save Alejandra time in the long run, especially as her website gets more and more complex. After you review the diagram to compare the uses of HTML and CSS, continue the next exercise. All right. Full color palette. Right on. Looks like we got a style sheet and the HTML page. Okay, Alejandra has learned CSS and created the desired visual rules to make her website look sleek and polished. Navigate to the style CSS file to take a look at the CSS code that she's written. In this file, you will recognize many of the HTML tags that you have been working with, and maybe a few that you haven't seen yet. CSS contains selectors that specify the HTML elements to which the style should be applied, as well as virtual or visual rules that specify how that content should be displayed. Now it's time to use the HTML link element to apply the CSS file to our existing website. This is done with an HTML link tag. An HTML link tag is often used to create a connection between an HTML file and the CSS files and tells the browser to apply the CSS styles to the HTML. Okay, so on line 6, boom, of HTML, copy and paste the code below to apply the CSS file to the existing HTML. Copy there, boom. Use your knowledge of HTML attributes to figure out what this code specifies and check out extra information in the hint if you want to learn more. Okay, so link and I'm guessing alliance or relationship. Okay, style sheet. It's referencing style CSS. That similar to what we just looked at for href in the last one. Boom. Ooh, that looks way better. Actually badass. Okay. Awesome. Alejandra's site is looking good. Just a little CSS can make the difference between a website that looks like a skeleton and portfolio ready site. Now let's tweak the CSS just a little bit to see how the visual rules specified in CSS can change the way a website is displayed. Navigate to the style CSS, scroll down to line 37 where you'll see the H1 selector. This section defines the styles for the H1 element on the page, which is most prominent heading. Just for practice, change the color property from white to black and press run to see what it changes. Okay, so H1 black. Let's run this. Oh, it did not even see what, oh, did it change this? White. Yeah, okay, so it just changed that. Right. Good job changing the color of the H1 text. Color H1 text. If you look at the rendered browser, you'll notice that the heading text is no longer readable in front of the image. Let's change the color property within back to white. Okay. Which we already did. Run. Boom. Next. What is JavaScript? Now that Alejandra has her website looking polished, she's realized that she wants the site to be more interactive. She would like to build a shopping cart feature that allows her users to buy travel packages directly from her website. To accomplish this, Alejandra is going to need to learn JavaScript. Any website that provides more than just static information probably utilizes JavaScript in some way. Here are some familiar examples of website features most often built with JavaScript. Pop-up ads, animated graphics, 2D or 3D, interactive audio and video, maps and other features, access the user's geographic location, and much more. One of the defining features of JavaScript is its ability to respond to browser events. These events happen in real time and can be triggered by a wide variety of user interactions, including the user clicking a button, the user pressing enter on their keyboard, a video file finishing loading, the user resizing their window, the user hovering over text on the web page. That is super cool. Okay. One of the classic browser events that JavaScript can respond to is the position of the mouse. When a user puts the mouse near an HTML element, the mouse over event is fired. Hover over the text in the browser to see how it responds to the on mouse over event. Once you have observed the effect of the on mouse over, click the run button to move on to the next checkpoint. Okay. What else is happening here? JavaScript uses functions, which are reusable blocks of code designed to perform a specific task. Draw text is a function that is being run on line 2. Change the text that says hello world to JavaScript. To pass a different value into this function, check out the browser to see what has changed. One of the benefits of functions is that they are reusable. The draw text function allows us to take advantage of the reusability of functions because if it can render any input without us needing to rewrite the logic of the function. Confused? Don't worry, we'll cover functions more thoroughly in the next exercise. There you go. Looks cool. All right, JavaScript functions. In the last exercise, you started to think about 2 key building blocks of JavaScript, functions and events. Let's review. Functions allow us to write a chunk of code once that can be reused over and over. Events allow JavaScript to respond to user behaviors like the user hovering their mouse over an HTML element or resizing their window. Events and functions combine to give JavaScript the ability to create interactive experiences. When an event is fired, a function is executed. This pattern is used again and again in web development to create interactive websites. First, let's take a look at the JavaScript in the index.html file. The JavaScript code is between the script tags. Okay, let's see. Okay, so there's the function. This tag alerts the browser that the page contains JavaScript and separates the JavaScript code from the HTML. Find the JavaScript function change color. Function change color. This function chooses a color from a list of colors. How does that happen? Let new color equal get random color. Document.body.style background color equals new color. Okay. First, get random color function generates a random series of numbers and letters. Oh, okay. So this get random color is this. Okay. So first, get random color function generates a random series of numbers and letters to create a new hexadecimal color code. Okay. So 6-digit. Then saves a new color under the name new color. On the next line, the document keyword access the page background color and sets it equal to the new color. Okay. Click the run button to move on to the next checkpoint and see how we can let a user change the color. Oh, right. I imagine we're probably not even connected to that button. Okay, so the next step is to connect a change color JavaScript function with an event so that when we click the repaint button, it changes the background color. An event is something that can happen in a browser, like clicking or hovering with your mouse. An HTML attribute can set events where the name of the attribute is the event and the value of the attribute is the JavaScript function that we want to execute. In this case, the name of the event is onClick, and we can invoke the function by calling change color. So paste this code into the opening tag of the button element. Already in that. All right, let's test out the functionality of the code that we just added. When you click repaint button, the background color of the site should be reset at random. When you're ready, click run again to move on to the next exercise. All right, cool. What is SQL or SQL? Now that Alejandra has built out the user-facing checkout features on her website, she's realized that she needs to store all of this information somewhere. She needs her application to be able to store, retrieve, and modify data like usernames, shipping addresses, payment information, and more. In order to build out these features, Alejandra needs to learn some SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. You might be familiar with SQL as a language that data analysts and data scientists use to query and analyze data. SQL stores information in tables, which is simply a collection of information organized into rows and columns. If you've worked with a spreadsheet like Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, you might be familiar with working with tables. To get information, you would write a query or a program that would retrieve data from the table. Here's an example of a query that would select all the columns. The asterisk keyword is shorthand for all from the page views table. Okay, so select all from page views. Okay. Web developers and software engineers also use SQL to build apps that can save, modify, and access data. There's even a growing field of data engineering, which is a specialized subset of software engineers who ensure that the application they are working with accurately and efficiently record all of the required data. Okay, now you try it. Add, select, start from users, probably all of that. To the text editor, select the entire users table from the database. Press run and look at the data that is returned. What kind of data is Alejandra's app able to store and retrieve? Why is it important for her to store this particular set of information? All right. Okay, cool. View. Alejandra is now has a fully functional web application for her small business. In building out the features that she needed for her business application, she learned about the four languages that form the core of the World Wide Web today. HTML, structure the website content. CSS applies styling to websites. JavaScript adds interactivity to websites. SQL allows your web application to store and retrieve data. While these languages are each essential to web development, many of them also have applications in other fields. For example, JavaScript was initially just a language for interacting with HTML, but JavaScript has expanded to be a general purpose programming language that can be run outside of the browser. You can now build web applications, browser games, desktop applications, and even VR, AR experiences in JavaScript. That's cool. Learning web development has given Alejandra the skills that she needed for her business and also opened the door for her to take on more and more technical projects in a wide variety of fields. Are you interested in more content about picking your first language? Try out choosing your first language. Well, I mean, it's kind of choosing, which chose it for us, I imagine, in this path. Congratulations, you can now understand and talk about the main languages of web development, and you've gotten your feet wet with reading and editing code. If you're intrigued by web development, you should now have a sense of what skills or languages you want to learn next. All right.